It's Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. I'm glad you're with us. We are joined today by the Mayor of Claremont, Corey Calaycay. Lots of C's, but it's all good. I want to speak with you about whether you will see the passage of a parcel tax measure, which is going to be on the ballot in November. Is that right?
That is correct.
Not easy. You need 2/3 vote. Talk to us about the history of this measure.
Well, for over 12 years now, the city has investigated options for building a new police facility for our police department. The situation is that the building was built back in the early 70s, conceived around 1972. It opened its doors around 1974. Back then, we had a force of about 28 male officers. Today, we have 38 officers, men and women. So that's a challenge unto itself. There are no dressing facilities for female officers in the building.
What about bathrooms? Did you somehow divide it up?
There are male and female bathrooms, but obviously they anticipated visitors. But as far as the officers, there were only male officers. So the female officers are now changing in a trailer in back of the station.
Oh my.
Additionally, the building does not meet current earthquake standards. There's a question of the structural integrity. There's actually a crack in the side of the building. And so in the long run, we need to be concerned about that. It was built before the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed, so it does not meet ADA requirements. The jail facilities do not meet current requirements for jail facilities.
But you're grandfathered in. I mean, you're not under some type of order to remedy these deficiencies, but like you suggest, it's probably time.
Well, and the problem is too, I mean, it does need to be larger. If you start doing too much to the building, obviously then you fall into the situation that you have to upgrade the facility. So really to do what we need to do, it's really time for a new
So
station.
how much is the bond?
The bond is for $50 million, worst case scenario. It is a parcel tax as opposed to a general obligation bond. And we did this intentionally because a general obligation bond, obviously your nonprofits are exempt from a general obligation bond. A parcel tax, even the colleges, churches, schools, all beneficiaries of police services will have to pay into it. So that was the reason for wanting to ensure that it was equitable and everybody paid into it.
So like I suggested, you do need a 2/3 vote.
That is correct.
Interestingly, voters have been generous in the past. I know that in this past November election, over 80% of the measures that needed 2/3 vote got 2/3 vote. Even in some areas which are considered fairly conservative. So are you looking at the same trends I am and just hoping and praying, or what's your sense?
Well, we actually had our own measure in November, Measure W, of course, the water initiative in town, and I believe we made a strong case to our residents, and we won that. It was certainly uncertain going in, but we won strongly, about 72% once the final vote came in. And so we're going to make a strong case for our police department, and I do believe that we have good information there. We will have an open house so people can come in and see the police department for themselves. We'll have the information out there. I invite people to follow our website to assure they have the latest information. But we're going to give this 150% to try to get support.
Tell us about the new facility. What do you expect?
It will be located north of our current city yard. It will be on a little bit larger area of land.
Different location?
It will be a different location. The problem with the existing location is it's about 1.8 acres. And for the proper size for a police department for our community is about 5 acres.
I see.
Otherwise, you have to start going with multi-level buildings, parking structures, which actually makes it more expensive.
So what's going to happen to the current site?
It would eventually be sold, assuming we move forward. Once the new building is completed and the department moves over, that site would be sold for potential other development that's appropriate in the village area.
Could the money used from the sale go into the police?
You're on the right track. That is correct. And that's the thing too. You know, as we go along, there aren't grants for brick and mortar, but there are potentially grants for technology. So there may be opportunity to get some grant money for a communications center. We also want to do a lead building.
And in our last moments, if it passes in November, when do you see the building opening?
Hopefully I would hope within the next 3 to 5 years.
His name is Corey Calaycay. He is the mayor of the city of Claremont. My name is Brad Pomerance. It's Time Warner Cable's Local Edition.